Mr. President, thank you very much for convening this meeting, and our thanks to all the briefers for their presentations and testimonies to the Council. Before I deliver the rest of my statement, I just want to share with you that maybe thousands of Palestinian children are with us in this room. I see them. I feel them. They are angels. They're coming to you and listening to all of you. And I'm grateful to almost all of you who said so many good things and you demanded immediate ceasefire. So those angels who do not know hatred, they are extending their hands to you. We want peace. We want ceasefire. We want food. We want medicine. We want to stop this war permanently. We want to live in peace with all the children in the region. We don't want the pain that we endure to be endured by anyone else. And I add that those who think that they have a monopoly of pain, they are not really genuine about not feeling the pain of others, because we feel their pain, we understand it because we live it every moment. And let me also add, we are very grateful for the courageous principled position of the United Nations, of the Secretary General, of Mr. Lazzarini of UNRWA, of Mr. Fletcher from OCHA, and the three distinguished humanitarian officers, whether from the United Nations or from Save the Children. If all those peoples and the ICJ and the ICC and so many other reports are not convincing very small number of people of truly the facts on the ground, and they still believe that there is a huge coalition against Israel, then why don't you, the Security Council, again I call, go to Gaza, meet with everyone, investigate the situation, know what is really happening to the Palestinian people, to the children, to the mothers, to the elderly, those who are starving, those who cannot have a hospital to attend to their wounds. Why don't you go there and investigate that situation and take with you hundreds of journalists to report if all of the reports of the UN is biased, and if the reports of the IPC is not accurate, go and investigate. Take journalists from Washington, from New York, from Los Angeles, from Chicago, from Israel itself, from everyone. Let them go and investigate instead of killing journalists. If the truth is what we're seeking, aren't these the methods of finding the truth? And go to Tel Aviv, meet with the families of all the hostages and the tens of thousands who are screaming with them, saying, stop the war now so that the hostages to be released. All the hostages that were released, including this lady with us, Ms. Gritsky, was released because of a ceasefire. Ceasefire save lives, release hostages. Continuation of the war takes lives and kill our children and women and many others, including Israelis. So of all these things, are fabricated and cannot be trusted, go and investigate so that we can have an agreement over the truth and then decide what is needed. The children, I said, that who are milling this room, Palestinian children, who are asking you for a ceasefire and peace, they want to create a new conditions in the Middle East of coexisting with each other. They want to begin the process of healing. They deserve healing, not some to deserve healing and others do not exist. Everybody deserves healing. We have 2.1 million Palestinians who are still alive in the Gaza Strip. They deserve healing and therefore should be given the opportunity to healing. And let me now deliver my statement, Mr. President. Before the world's eyes and under its watch, Israel has imposed famine on the Gaza Strip. It has done so deliberately, cruelly, as a matter of state policy. The Gaza famine, a famine eating away at infants and children. It was described accurately and vividly by Save the Children. A famine now declared in Gaza City and creeping rapidly all over the Gaza Strip. A famine that could have been prevented if deterrence had matched the level of the crimes committed. Israel was presented with a ceasefire deal that could save the lives of 2 million Palestinians and 20 Israeli hostages. But it has chosen instead to expand its military control, escalate its brutality, and continue killing innocent civilians. Again, it does so deliberately and systematically, obsessed with one objective since day one: displacement and dispossession of the Palestinian people, a continuum it has pursued for nearly 80 years. So instead, while the world demands a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, Israel has indicated clearly that it wants to expand its crimes. Rather than put an end to them, that its choice remains violence, death, and destruction. So again, the world was witness to Israelis' execution of civilians in broad daylight. The second strike on Nasser's hospital was a premeditated strike on medics and journalists who arrived at the scene after the first strike. This is not a war. These are atrocities committed against an entire civilian population, 2 million people, and against all those trying to assist them, to save them, and against all those documenting the crimes. And while Israel prevents UN staff from returning to uphold their mandates in Gaza, it also still prohibits international journalists and international investigations from entering Gaza, insisting to maintain control of the crime scene and to prevent the full reality from reaching the world to evade accountability. Where else could the killing of humanitarians and journalists at such a large scale be tolerated? Where? Where else? Where else could the massacre of civilians day in, day out be tolerated, with reports revealing that civilians constitute at least 83% of the casualties? 83% of the casualties. No power on earth has dared to do anything close to what Israel is doing in total impunity. It incites against the Palestinian people and UN personnel, starting from the Secretary General declaring him persona non grata, effectively instructing its occupation forces to kill, maim, starve, detain, and torture both. Its contempt for international law, for this Council's authority, and for human life is beyond flagrant. And yet, somehow, it still sits among us and around this table. With all this record, still they are sitting here. Mr. President, Israel's illusions about its own might are leading to real death and suffering every single day. In Gaza, certainly, but also in the West Bank, where killings continue, where communities are forcibly displaced from their homes and lands, where Palestinian life and existence are under grave threat, where military incursions in their villages, refugee camps, and cities at their holy sites occur daily, where settlers' violence and terror are unrelenting, more vicious by the day in El Mghayr, Sinjil, East Jerusalem, and Masafir Yatta, where Israel is feverishly expanding settlements, including its illegal plans targeting the E1 to suffocate the Palestinian people, to fragment the Palestinian state, to thwart our self-determination and independence, to destroy the two-state solution. Everywhere the same plan, the same objective, even if the means differ. Get rid of the Palestinian people to seize Palestinian land. Destruction, death, displacement, and endless torment of the indigenous people of this land. But Israel does not understand that its actions constitute not only an existential threat to the Palestinian people, but to the very prospect of ever realizing peace and security in our region. The only path to a peaceful, stable, and secure future goes through Palestine. No peace that can go except through Palestine. An independent and sovereign Palestinian state, a Palestinian people exercising all their rights, attaining justice and living in safety and dignity in their land, living side by side in peace and security with Israel in a region that can then finally enjoy shared peace, security, and prosperity. That vision has been enshrined in countless United Nations resolutions, including of this Security Council, and that is the promise of the New York Declaration. The outcome of the International Conference on the Peaceful Settlement of the Question of Palestine and the implementation of the two-state solution that we must now transform into reality. Mr. President, the Security Council must act now. Almost all of you said that, and the Palestinian children angels are telling you, act now. And with absolute urgency to end the Israeli atrocities and this imposed famine. It cannot continue to delay Chapter 7 action. And my colleague from Pakistan referred to the declaration adopted in Jeddah by the emergency meeting of the foreign minister of the OIC, which I had the honor of representing Palestine in, decided and is urging you to act on the basis of Chapter 7. The world must act to halt this genocide on the Palestinian people and to protect them from Israelis' plans of erasure. States around the world must intensify their efforts to deter these crimes and hold their perpetrators accountable. We need real pressure to stop the flood of suffering and start the flood of humanitarian aid into Gaza, to restore the United Nations presence, including UNRWA, in the occupied Palestinian territory, and restore humanity to humanitarian aid to save millions of people and to let the healing of the unimaginable loss, pain, and trauma to begin. Gaza is hell on earth, but Gaza is the biggest storage place of pain, suffering, blood, tears, and agony. It will be remembered to be the biggest storage place of pain on earth. The pain that our people are going through is beyond description, beyond description. And those who are in pain, they understand the pain of others. They do not claim monopoly in pain for themselves only. Only those who live pain genuinely can understand the pain of others. And that's what unites them with all those who suffer together, and then they hold hands together to put an end to the pain of everyone, not the pain for some and deny it to others. We need a protection force to save our people. This war of atrocities must end, and we are ready for the day after. As Palestine, as Arabs and Muslims countries, and as international partners, and there are so many of them, not only in Europe, but in Europe, North America, in South America, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere. We have a clear plan for the day after, with regional and international support, and Palestine is committed to do its part to ensure its success. Gaza is an integral part of Palestine, and its future is Palestinian. Gaza is a precious part of Palestine, and it is part of the land of the state of Palestine. There is therefore no substitute to Palestine in the governance of Gaza. And Palestine recognizes that its own success is dependent on cooperation with regional and international actors who also have a key role to play. And Palestine is willing to work with the US administration, we keep repeating, Saudi Arabia, and regional partners, France, and international partners, and the members of the Security Council, all of you, and the broader international community to ensure that arrangements for the day after addresses all legitimate concerns in line with international law and the relevant UN resolutions, and are conducive to justice, lasting and lasting and comprehensive peace and security for all. We will only be successful if our efforts complement each other, especially as we share a common objective, peace. That's the common objective, peace. The UN was created for peace. The Security Council is the custodian of the maintenance of international peace and security. That's what unites all of us. For those who want peace, and we do want peace, because we benefit tremendously from peace. War takes the lives of our precious children. We don't want war. We want peace. And if we find partners for peace, then peace will be implemented. We will only be successful if we act now, seriously, and with utmost resolve and conscience, with respect for international law and humanity. Mr. President, all this bloodshed, all this suffering imposes on us all to act immediately. to end this illegal occupation and conflict once and for all, and to chart a credible path for peace and coexistence in our region. My friend, the ambassador of Sierra Leone, gave us fabulous lessons in history of what happened in Africa and former Yugoslavia. Let us not in the future be saying, where were we with genocide committed in the Gaza Strip and in Palestine, and you were paralyzed and you did not do what was supposed to be done in order to stop it and not to allow it to continue. These are wise words that many of our leaders, I remember vividly, especially after Rwanda, started evaluating and saying, why did we fail? Why didn't we act to stop it from happening instead of trying to go after those who committed these atrocities and to bring them to justice? That is good, but that will not bring the million people that were killed in Rwanda. Now we're saying, let's act now to save the 1 million children in Gaza. The rest, the other million, are the older people. Let's act now to save them. Palestine will not disappear. For those who have the illusion that they can negate our existence, that is an illusion, dream. Palestine will not disappear. We are rooted in that national homeland from the beginning of history. The Roman trees of olive are not as old as the Palestinian people. We are older. We are also responsible. We accepted to share that land and to have two-state solution. Israel will not disappear. That's why we're telling you we are going not to allow Palestine to disappear, and the only solution, as all of you say, is the two-state solution. No one can kill their way to peace. Those who think that they have the most powerful army on earth, that they can do whatever they want to, that's an illusion. But what will save all of us is peace and the two-state solution. Even this genocide will not eradicate Palestine. It's a dream, it's an illusion. It will bring more pain to all of us. It will bring more pain. The best way is to end this war. Peace, ceasefire now, and release the hostages, release the prisoners, let them be reunited with their loved ones. But we have an obligation to bring the human suffering to an end, and we must act now. No more delays. Gaza deserves life. The 2 million plus of the people who are still alive in Gaza deserve lives. And it is your obligation to help them to remain alive, although they are starving, although the healing might be almost impossible. But the only option for the healing to begin, especially for the children, stop the fighting, give them food, give them medicine, allow them to re-heal, allow them, insha'Allah, as we say, God willing, to be able to heal and to dream the big dreams that all children dream, and to fulfill these dreams. Palestine deserves lives. The Holy Land deserves life. It is time. It is time for life. It is time for freedom. It is time for peace. Thank you, Mr. President.
Agradezco.
I thank the permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine for this statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ilana. Your courage honors us all. On October 7th, Hamas stripped you from your home in Kibbutz Nir Oz with your partner Matan Tsangauker. You survived 55 days in unimaginable conditions. You are free, but Matan is not. He has been in captivity for almost 700 days. No freedom, no light, no dignity. You were born in Mexico. You came to Israel more than 15 years ago to build your life as a proud Jew. We know your heart is still with Matan and the others. Your testimony is the voice of those who cannot speak. It is a living reminder of the unbearable suffering that the hostages are still enduring. Their freedom cannot wait. The report on sexual violence in armed conflict confirms what we have always known and what Ilana bravely shared. Hamas used sexual violence as a weapon of war. Survivors deserve action, no doubt. Blacklist Hamas now. The Security Council must finally designate them as the terrorist organization they are. So despite all the lies in this room, we will not lose sight of our goal, to bring Matan home, to bring them all home. Council members, some of you have forgotten about Matan. You have forgotten how this all began, and the truth above why it continues. We will not leave them behind. Their freedom cannot wait. That is why the war continues. To free our people and end Hamas's reign of terror. But instead of focusing your attention on the hostages or on the crimes of the Hamas terror organization, a campaign of diversion from these issues continues. An echo chamber that swaps facts for slogans. Look no further for evidence than the IPC report. Maybe we should call it the fabricated report. The IPC lowered its own thresholds to manufacture a so-called famine. It cut the global standard from 30% to 15% for the report only, for this report only, and ignored its second criteria altogether, and I will get to that later. It refused to count most of the aid that did not pass through the UN. It used flawed methods while ignoring the wider data available because it didn't serve its narrative. By design, it misrepresents the true data. Across its many pages, and I'm sure you read some of the report, more than 50 pages. Across its many pages, Hamas is not mentioned even once. The terrorist organization that began this war and steals the aid for its own use is not even mentioned. One of the report's co-authors is Mr. Andrew Seal. Mr. Seal is a radical anarchist who publicly accused Israel of genocide already in October 2023, just days after the massacre of our people. And now, officially, he celebrates the Houthi terrorists as upholders of international law. And he is the one of the co-signer of the report. How could any of you claim this is a legitimate report? If it were any other nation, in any other context, the IPC would publicly apologize for its failures and retract this fabricated report. But because the report demonizes Israel, any claim is taken as fact. And I've listened to you all. Well, how about we examine the actual facts and only then cast judgment? Preliminary analysis by both official Israeli bodies and independent experts indicate that this so-called report includes IPC invented data that did not exist. They invented 182 virtual deaths to reach the threshold of 188, supposedly for famine. So the numbers didn't work for them. There was only 6. So they added 182. So now they can come with this report. Second fact, the IPC cherry-picked data from a survey of 15,749 children. They took data from only 7,519 children, which leads to the desired political result of the report's authors. Third, IPC hid data that contradicts the agenda. The IPC conducted 2 surveys in Gaza and hid one of the surveys in the appendix that shows there is no famine in Gaza. Following these gross forgeries, we are demanding the IPC for the immediate removal of the forged report. Let's continue to examine the facts. Let's speak about the aid. The UN's own records show more than 500 trucks carrying over 46,000 tons of aid have entered Gaza. That's since May 19, 94% of which was food. Yet, according to the UN agenda, if you read carefully, only about 1 in 9 or 8 trucks actually reached their destinations. 1 out of 9. Why? Because armed groups and Hamas terrorists intercepted the rest of the trucks inside Gaza. Not in Israel, not at the gates, not at the checkpoints, inside Gaza. In the same period, more than 7,400 trucks with over 139,000 tons of food and over 2,000 tons of medical supplies entered. But the IPC refused to count them. On the ground, the picture is clear. The crossings are open, despite the daily lies about crossing closures from the mouth of Mr. Tom Fletcher. On a typical recent day, 300 to 400 truckloads are collected inside Gaza, while hundreds more sit waiting on the Gaza side for the UN to distribute it. When partners actually collect and distribute, prices fall. And it's not me saying it or him saying it. You can look at the market price. We have seen the prices of goods fall dramatically, but this fact is also ignored. Prices are the most accurate measurement of shortages. For example, a kilogram of flour has recently fallen by 80% in the markets of Gaza. Non-UN channels are helping to fill the gaps. 90-plus community kitchens are serving 600,000 meals a day. 18 hospitals and 12 field hospitals are operating with tens of thousands of tons of medical supplies delivered. Thousands of patients have been evacuated for treatment. We are powering water lines and a desalination plant so hundreds of thousands could easily access drinking water. We continue to work with organizations committed to humanitarian work, not political incitement. Yesterday, World Food Programme Executive Director Cindy McCain entered Gaza and visited both Deir el-Balach and the Gazan side of the Kerem Shalom crossing to see these efforts herself. But the IPC report hides this reality behind intentionally flawed methods. They lower the bar, exclude the aid they dislike, and publish the worst case possible. That is not humanitarian work. That is diversion. This same diversion feeds the next one, statements that reward terror. Colleagues, we all know that not too long ago, there was progress toward a hostage agreement. Mediators were working. There was hope. Then France and the UK made their announcements about their recognition intentions. Many others followed suit. They gave Hamas an out. They told Hamas that if they agree to a ceasefire and release the hostages, they will get nothing from the international community. They encouraged Hamas to disengage and walk away from the negotiations. To those countries, look at your actions and at Hamas's response to them. When France made its announcement, Hamas called it, and I quote, "positive step in the right direction," and urged all states to, and I quote, "follow France," and hailed it as the fruits of October 7. That's how Hamas called your statement, the fruits of October 7. When the Dutch foreign minister resigned a few days ago, Hamas praised this recognition and called it a moral and courageous stance. When Australia changed its policy, a Hamas official thanked the Australian Prime Minister for his, quote, "political courage." These are the people cheering you on: rapists, murderers, kidnappers. You are supposed to stand for Western values, peace, justice, and human rights, but your policy is applauded by terrorist monsters who continue to hold innocent people hostage. I hope that fact might cause these nations to reflect. So I hope the virtue signaling was worth it, worth the pain of the hostages, worth the pain of their families, worth the pain of the civilians in Gaza whom Hamas uses as human shields and political tools. You have set a precedent. Murder civilians and you will be heard. Take hostages and you will be rewarded. Every terrorist group is watching. The lesson is simple: violence works. Now we look to September, where there may be more statements similar to the New York Declaration, which naively states, and I quote, "Hamas must end its rule in Gaza and hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority." So I'm asking you, and I will ask the leader that will come here in September, how do you plan on accomplishing this? How exactly do you plan on removing Hamas from the equation? How do you think it will go? You will ask them to disarm? You will ask them to leave Gaza and bring the PA officials? The last time they had any relationship with the PA officials, and Mr. Mansour can agree to that because I don't know if he was there, they threw them from the rooftops in Gaza. They tortured them, the PA officials. That was the last time any PA official was in Gaza. So when you make a statement, how it will work? We know it will not happen from empty UN statements or meaningless summits. We know you leave the real work to us. You may not say it, but you know it too. At least be honest about what your statements really mean. Empowering Hamas and allowing them to continue to exploit the people of Gaza and threaten the people of Israel, that's what it means if they will stay there. And I tell you today, we will never allow that to happen. Mr. President, this Council can keep chasing distractions or return to core principles. The hostages, say their names, demand proof of life, demand they receive aid, medical care, and visits from the Red Cross. Use real pressure on those who hold leverage over Hamas. Make their return the first sentence of every statement in this chamber until they are home. Hamas's rule must end. Any meaningful future for Palestinians and Israelis require it. You cannot build accountable institutions around murderous terrorists. Israel will keep doing the hard work. We will bring our people home. We will dismantle Hamas's war machine. Ilana, to you, to Matan's family, and to all the families, we will not be diverted. We will not be deterred. We will bring them all back home. Thank you, Mr. President.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of Israel for the statement. Delegation of France has asked for the floor to make an additional statement. You have the floor.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I apologise for extending this session by a little bit, but these are very serious and weighty topics, the issue of hostages, and I'm not going to repeat what I already said. We stand in solidarity on the matter, and we believe in the need to release the hostages just as soon as possible. I would like to just respond to 2 points, at least 2 points that have been mentioned, but that affect my country, France.